Good evening and welcome to the Importance of Music in Middle School Education presentation. First slide, Importance of Music. To quote Plato, music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. This is truly a profound statement and able to give voice to what so many musicians over the years have felt, that music in itself is valuable and there's nothing worth fighting for more than the ability to create and create art. If you look at this next slide, this is from the Society of Neuroscience, and it is a chart discussing the gray matter versus non-musicians, amateur, and pro musicians. If you'll look with the pre-CGL, HGL, and SPCR, you can notice that the white box, which is non-musicians, have a significant amount of gray matter less than what amateur and pro musicians have. When talking about music effect on young minds, there are many things that we can speak of. What I'd like to discuss is the form of expression, the promotion of critical thinking, the development of brain activity, and core subject testing. I'll get to the core subject testing results increase in a few slides, quote-unquote the Mozart effect. Oftentimes when children are young and in their shy bubble, if you will, they do not have a way to express themselves. Some, to a varying degree, won't speak at all, or some will just sit in the classroom and not engage in any type of conversation or interaction. What music allows kids to do is for them to have not so much anonymity, but to have a way of putting an instrument in front of their face and expressing themselves through music, through vocal singing, through any type of banging on a drum. Depends on what age they are. When I say it promotes critical thinking, I mean that hemispherically the music subject ties together both left and right brain and has the ability to basically merge the two together at a much earlier age. Now, when talking about developing brain activity at an earlier age, like I mentioned before, this is not only hemispherically, but it's also spatial related skills, it's also language skills, and it's also developmental skills as far as the brain goes. It's been proven by many studies that the effect of music is not only something that can be seen through emotions, but actually can be seen through neurological and MRI studies. Now, when speaking of core subject testing, results increase. We can talk about the Mozart effect. Now, the other thing is that a great platform for music education is VH1 Save the Music. As you can see by this slide, nourishes the process of learning. So sensory integration, attention, critical thinking, emotional maturity, and motor capacities. Like I mentioned before, the hemispherical with right brain and left brain, and builds and strengthens connections between brain cells. Next slide will be the Mozart effect. Basically, Rauscher, Shaw, and Kai did this experiment a few years ago, and you can see with 3 groups of students and what their results were, that those students who listened to Mozart increased their success by 62% from day 1 to day 2. While that may seem huge, what we have to take into effect is, or what we have to take into account is the way in which the study was done. So basically you have students who just by 10 minutes of Mozart are able to increase their test scores by 62%. Now, in some research that I've gone through that I've read, that unfortunately the Mozart effect only accounts for a 10 to 15 minute increase directly following the stimulus into the brain. So lasting effects of the Mozart study have not been published, and I'm skeptical to see if there are long-term, other than the sheer enjoyment of it, to see if there actually is any efficacy in it. So like I said before, Schellenberg said it best: the evidence for music education causing short-term increases in IQ testing has been obtained from 6-year-old children, and the effect seems to last for 11-year-olds and even for 16 to 25-year-old adolescents. So not only is the Mozart effect able to have effect on young people's minds, but it actually goes all the way up into basically quarter century, 25-year-old students that can also benefit from this. Now, along with the Mozart effect, because that seems to be what is on everyone's mind as far as test increased scoring. If you have a group of faculty, you will always get the math and science people shouting from the rooftops that music is not or should not be considered a class. The only way that they like music is if it increases their test scores. And again, speaking of my research, we have the No Child Left Behind, where music basically got pushed to the wayside because it did not help and did not promote higher testing scores in the No Child Left Behind area. So when we talk about self-confidence, the ability to work hard under pressure, creating lasting friendships, and instill a sense of pride, these are four core things that really help to make a person well-rounded individual. When you talk about self-confidence, again, putting an instrument in front of your face and being able to get out in front of a large group of people is definitely a challenge. When there's a difficult piece, difficult movement, difficult instructor, it's no different than working through problems at work or at home. The ability for you to get out and work under pressure or handle pressure is much easier if you have a performance background. I'll speak from personal experience on this next one as far as creating lasting friendships. I started band with many people many years ago, and to this day I am still friends with many of the people that I started band with back in the 5th grade. And as far as instilling a sense of pride, young people sometimes find it hard to relate and sometimes find it hard to find a sense of pride in anything that they do just because it's not something that they're used to. So by getting them out in front of a band and including them in a band concert, they're able to say they did a good job and have a sense of pride that they normally wouldn't have. So in wrapping up, the best way that I can describe music education in middle school is that there is no greater need for us to fund and to consider that not just an elective course anymore. Students are able to gather so much information and have such a lasting effect that they need music education in middle school. And not only in middle school, but they need it throughout their academic career, K through 12, and even sometimes on to collegiate level. Thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed my presentation.